It is the 4th of March 2023. I'm here in Nepal, and in this video I will introduce myself and my work, what I'm doing here in Nepal as an high-tech engineer, and I will talk about also my objectives and my motivation. So let's get started. Namaste. My name is Raphael. I am an IT and electronics engineer from Austria, and I've been living in Nepal for many years. In this video, I want to give you the big picture, what I'm doing here and why. So before we get started, I want to introduce myself a little bit further. I've been born in 1983 AD in Austria, and my parents are running an organic farm. They have pioneered organic farming in Austria, pretty much so. And as I've already said, I've studied electronic engineering and IT. I've also learned to play the piano, the violin and the organ, and I've been training karate for a decade or something. And I also have joined the Theosophical Society in 2012. And there is another thing that happened in 2012, which is I went to Nepal for a visit, just like, well, many people probably do, go trekking in the Himalayan mountains. And I enjoyed it so much. I love the country so much here that I started to planning how to do work, what to do, how to improve the country, how to bring sustainable technology, how to help the people here to live a little bit in more easy way with the help of technology, but also in a sustainable way, because we already see in Europe and other so-called developed countries that technology is maybe not giving the solution to every problems in life. So everything needs to have a context and basically an understanding of how to apply technology in a meaningful way to really improve the situation of the world at large. So with this we already went into the topic of being here in Nepal. Actually, I've also founded a company in Austria many years before I went to Nepal. The name of the company is Tech, and it's focusing basically on electronic engineering, controlling devices in the sector of energy, also electric mobility, electric cars or solar systems, whatever has to do with batteries, especially lithium batteries. And now I'm already here in Nepal since, well, I came here first in 2012, and then I've been here permanently since 2015. This is also when the big earthquake happened here in Nepal. And with this earthquake, a lot of things have changed in Nepal, I think. Until then, all the houses and the way of living was quite simple, and I've seen all these old and traditional houses that were made of stone and clay and wood. These were quite healthy types of houses, but the earthquake has destroyed a lot of these traditional buildings, which maybe lacked a little bit a proper way of structure to be earthquake resistant. So with this earthquake, a lot of houses have collapsed, and people were looking for new modern ways of building, especially earthquake resistant houses. And in Nepal, they don't have, for example, they don't have wooden house construction industry. It's like in some remote areas, maybe they have some local type of building wooden cottages or even houses, you may see, but it's a very simple type of houses, like the way we would build maybe a garden house or something like to stay outside for 1 or 2 days during the weekend. And they don't have any sophisticated technology for building proper wooden houses. So even though before the earthquake I was already planning to do some electronic engineering and especially electronic engineering related work in Nepal to help the technological development of the country, I realized that this is not the only thing that is required here. It's also about living in a healthy, comfortable and sustainable way, because apart from these stone buildings, traditional stone and clay buildings, the only other type of building they knew, or obviously they knew in Nepal, was RCC buildings, which is a reinforced concrete construction. This means there's a lot of cement in use, and the problem with that is that usually the way people build houses here, there is no proper finishing. Like they live on the naked cement without heating, without insulation, and in this way the buildings, they heat up during the summer, and it's almost impossible to get to sleep during the night because they don't cool down. And in the winter it's so cold that for European people it's quite uncomfortable also. So there is a lot of problem with cement houses, not just the temperature, but also the chemicals used with cement, which is simply not good for health. And seeing this and having my own wooden house in Austria, and also just having built a small wooden house myself at the time of earthquake, I realized that this is also a kind of technology that is necessary in Nepal. So with that, I also founded a company with the name Namuna Soria Pravidi in Nepal, which translates maybe to like Namuna means like an example, like a template, or something like that, or prototype. And Soria means lightful, like sunshine, something like that. It's not the sun directly, but sunshine or lightful. And Pravidi translates to technology. So the meaning of Graystech and Namuna Soria Pravidi is pretty similar. It's almost the same. But of course, in Nepal, it's good to use the native language. It's better understandable for the people here, because usually they don't speak English very well. And it's a company in Nepal, so for the people in Nepal. Now we already have 2 subjects. One is electronic engineering, especially related to solar or energy technology. And the second thing is wooden houses. But then there are also other fields that I feel are basic or important in the life of a human being, which is not just a basic thing in Nepal, but all over the world, like humanity, or people need to have a few basic things in life to work properly, like to have a proper life. And apart from things related to more high-tech things like what I'm doing, and I'm trained in high-tech, but high-tech is not everything in life. So apart from that, you need to have food, and that's a very basic thing. So I feel like my parents already have done a lot in this field. They were really, or still are, pioneers in Austria regarding organic farming, which is a very sustainable way of agriculture. And then we have the second thing is with houses, like you need to live in a place. So this is where the wooden houses come in, which we have a very advanced industry in Austria. And having grown up in Austria, I already have some experience in this field, and it's in our genes. Austrian people, whoever lives in the countryside, almost everyone is already somehow trained more or less in woodwork, because in almost every house or farm you have machines for woodworking, because many smaller things you do yourself, and only for bigger projects or furniture or something very specific you hire other people in Austria. So it's a very common thing. And so that's why, even though I'm not trained from an educational perspective in woodworking, still I've been used to working with wood from an early age. And my company in Nepal is focusing so far on two things: housing with wooden houses, because it's healthy, earthquake resistant, and sustainable. And the other thing is with energy, especially focusing on solar, or, well, sustainable energy in a way. And besides these two and food, then there are also other things that I think are important. One is transportation, like getting things or people from one place to another. And the last thing that I think is very basic is communication. Communication not just includes talking to other people or exchanging messages, it's also like it also relates to organizing societies in a way, or economies, especially with economies which integrate a lot of people, and economy tries to coordinate the work of these people. This is a field that really relates to communication. So if you have good communication or computer-supported intelligence, if you want to put it like that, to support the economic field, then people, it's also easier for people to find their own proper work and their place in society, in terms of what service they can provide, what they can do to support others. Because if we all have a mindset of doing our best to support livelihood of ourselves, our surrounding, of other people that we are in touch, then basically everyone gives his or her skills, whatever we are capable of, to support society. And in this way, society can work properly. But on a large scale, this needs to be organized with communication. So it's these 5 fields of operation: food, housing, energy, transportation, and communication. I feel like these 5 fields are very basic, and they need to work somehow properly for a human life to work properly as well, especially in a society setting. So this already tells you that I'm somehow trying to support, with whatever I'm doing, to support these 5 fields of operation. Not all these fields are actively supported so far, but I have come into touch with all these related technologies, or technologies, throughout my life, but it all depends on the proper setting, like to have a proper environment to work in these fields. So my company in Nepal, I'm also located in Nepal now. I'm recording this video in near Trishuli in Nuwakot district, which is a little bit north of Kathmandu and already close to the Tibetan border. You could say it's already at the foot of the Himalayan mountain range. So I'm here in Nepal. I've founded a company Namuna Sohya Pravidi here, and this company is already operating in the fields of solar electronics and in the field of building wooden houses. Like the house where I'm just now, it's my own house, and it's of course a wooden house. And we have built already like around 40 houses in Nepal, all over Nepal, and we have also started to expand our work into other locations like branch offices, because Nepal is not as small as Austria. It's like double in size in terms of area. So, and also the road connectivity is very well, what do you say? If you're used to roads in Europe, you will be quite shocked by the situation of road connectivity in Nepal. That's also why from an early time plane travel was very important in Nepal, and I think until recently there were still places in Nepal that you could only reach by plane. So transportation or the road infrastructure or infrastructure in general in Nepal is still on a very primitive level. It has advanced a lot during recent years, but it's nowhere comparable to Europe or other countries like that. So with this company called Namuna Sohya Pravidi, I have founded this company by approval of the Department of Industry, which is a government body which allows foreign investments, because I still have Austrian citizenship so far, and Nepal has always been a sovereign country. It's never been like India. It's never been occupied by British or any other country. It's been on its own. So so far it's still very difficult for foreigners to actually stay in Nepal. Like it's easy to get a tourist visa to stay 5 months. I think the regulation is 5 months per year here in Nepal, but it's much more difficult to get a kind of permanent visa. And but through this foreign investment, founding this company, Namuna Sohya Pravidi, I'm staying on the basis of a business visa because I'm running a business in Nepal. And with this company, I also started to train local people, not people in cities, but more people in the countryside where there is even less industry or less work opportunity. And I've started because people are quite intelligent actually here, but they have no proper guidance how to apply their intelligence. And nowadays with all these technologies, mobile phones, with internet connectivity, a lot of their capacity is actually diverted to social media and playing with your phone all day, and they don't have really a good vision. Like young people here in Nepal, there is an extreme generation gap here, because some of the older people don't even know how to write, and illiterate. So, and the young generation basically has an education similar to, at least formally similar to what we are used to in Europe. But the setting here, the social and environment and tradition in Nepal is so different that actually the education system that they have developed, like they have copied from Europe. It's like if you pick up the school books, they learn. Even they learn about European history probably more than they learn about Asian or Nepal history. So even the content of the education system is copied from Europe, which I think personally is not appropriate for this land, because the setting is very different and the mindset, the traditional mindset, is very different here, and the education should have been adapted to this, which is not the case. So with the young people, with the young generation, and the education system working in this way, they don't really know how to apply their intelligence or how their capacity, their skills, or even how to learn skills and what to learn them for. Because in Nepal actually you don't have to work a lot to sustain your life, at least in terms of food and living. But it's very hard to earn money, like to sustain a life economically. But because of that, because of the moderate temperatures, and actually the environment is very easy to manage your life here. So people are not forced to hard work, which is, I think, a common problem in countries like that, which have a very easy temperature. Let's put it like that. So even though I started to train people here, it's quite difficult. Even though they have formal education similar to what we have in Europe, still they are not used to focusing on actually learning new skills or going into depth. So it takes a lot of time until they can take responsibility for the proper operation here. Yeah. So what are the problems in these 5 fields that we have? Like agriculture. We know that the agriculture with a lot of pesticides and all these things, they destroy the earth in a way that after a long time you cannot grow anything anymore on the soil. So you need to have a sustainable way of agriculture, which I already said I don't see as a particular. I see agriculture as a very fundamental thing, but it's not particularly something that I am personally active in. Even though I think that my parents already did a lot of pioneer work in this field, so there is already a lot of research and a lot of knowledge. You just have to apply what is already known, basically, in a meaningful way, without listening to all these advertising and brainwashing of the big companies that just want to sell their hybrid seeds or something. You just need to apply common sense and the experience that has already been collected to reach a sustainable way of agriculture, because the agriculture in Nepal is also a little bit problematic. They have started to use hybrid rice for maybe like 20 to 30 years now, and in the beginning of course this increased production, but then now without fertilizers and without pesticides they cannot grow rice in most areas in Nepal. So it's an irreversible process, or very hard to reverse. So you really need to think in advance what you are doing in terms of sustainability, because you don't need just food for today, you also need food tomorrow, and for your children and for your children's children. So, and you need to apply this principle of sustainability to all fields of activity. And I feel like today Nepali people are very short-sighted. They see something on TV or on their mobile phone, and then their mind is going from one thing to another, and then they don't care about the thing that they cared for about yesterday, and this is a very chaotic way. So it's really important, especially in Nepal, but not only in Nepal, also in other countries, to think in a sustainable way, to what you do, how you do, make sure that it's future-proof. Yeah. The difficulty, of course, in Nepal is that people are very much struggling with managing their daily life, or their income. Most of people are poor in economical terms, but very rich in other terms. So, but the problem is that people are already very brainwashed here, meaning they don't know their own riches. They are going after artificial values, and this actually makes them actually poor. It's quite sad, but I think it's something that they have to go through as a society in order to understand the real values of life. Yeah. So the other thing with housing, I already have pointed out that like a very common way of building houses here is using cement and steel, which is not quite healthy in a way. It's also not sustainable. Like, you need a huge industry to support these materials. On the other hand, Nepal has a large forest, so you don't need to bring wood from other countries. There is enough wood in the country itself, so if it's managed properly, a great number of houses can be built using wood, using your own resources, which is an important point. And then also the trees, if you cut a tree, you can grow a tree again. It's not a one-way thing. So you really need to, regarding housing, you really need to take care of health, of sustainable materials or technology. Also in Nepal you need to take care of heavy rainfall during monsoon, and of earthquakes and things like that, and maybe heavy wind. So with all this, everything, if you use proper wooden house construction technology, all these things are properly covered. It's sustainable. If you build the structure properly, it's very earthquake resistant, and resistant in this context also against wind or whatever. And if you build the roof properly and the foundation properly, you also don't have any problems with water or monsoon or moisture or anything like that. So this is regarding housing. We are quite active in this area with the company that I have, and it's like it's difficult to introduce new technology in Nepal. Like it's, even though in other countries wooden houses have been so common for so many generations already, and in Nepal they simply have no information about this, how to build proper wooden houses. So the way people were using wood in their houses is not a very long-lasting way of using wood traditionally. So people here take time to understand and appreciate the technological advantages and the duration of properly built wooden buildings. It's even though you can show them 200, 300 years age-old buildings, wooden buildings from Europe on photos, it's like people here, they want to see themselves, and then they take a lot of time. And it's slowly, awareness is slowly increasing also maybe because people have more access to technology and information, but only very few people are actually using this possibility of access to information properly. Most of them nowadays, as sad as it is, they spend just most of their time on social media and just wasting their capacity and not really getting information or anything, any useful information. So if Nepal as a country and as a society wants to become a more happy or even sustainable and more satisfied in a way, in their way of living, they also need to harness the possibility of getting proper information, of arranging life in a sustainable and proper way. So this is for housing. And then the energy sector, well, in Nepal I think energy is not so much a problem. There is a lot of possibility for hydropower, because they have rivers and they have a lot of slope from the highest peak down to, I think the lowest, it's around 100 meters sea level only. So there is a lot of slope which can be utilized for hydropower. And then of course then even though hydropower is very suitable, there is also sunshine all year round. So even solar is very appropriate. So there is really no environmental difficulty here for sustainable energy. And right now also most of the country's electricity is run on hydropower, and there are also solar projects. So this is, I think, a field that's advancing in a proper direction. We are also working in this field, but I don't see it's not an exclusive thing that only we are doing. As compared to wooden houses, there is no other wooden house building company in Nepal other than Nomonosauria Praviti, which is my company. So that's why we focus a little bit more on sustainable housing rather than on solar or energy, because that's solar or the energy sector is actually taken care of quite properly, I think. But still, there are maybe some things that we can also add to this in the future when I have better trained staff in this area, because with engineering and building new technology, you can't do everything by yourself and still run a company and take care of your life. That's too much. So you need proper trained staff, a good working environment, and then only you can advance the technology, and also on electronic level. So this already leads us to transportation and communication, because the field of energy, transportation and communication, all these fields have to be properly supported also by electronics. Electronics is a key technology for the advancement, for the technological advancement of any country, any society. So there is not really an electronic industry in Nepal. So that's something we have to work on in the future more, but I am lacking the proper staff or personnel for this at the moment. So because for people in Nepal it's difficult to pick up new technology, even though people are so smart, they are very intelligent here, but they are not used to focusing on things properly. They are, as I said already, so much brainwashed through TV and social media, mobile phones, that actually they don't know how to use or utilize their own capacity. Yeah. So energy, we covered that. Transportation. So for transportation, it's like Nepal does not have a good road infrastructure still. So that's an ongoing thing. They are building roads all the time, but the roads are also not not most of the time they are not built in a very robust way. So um, roads that have been built maybe for 20 years ago, they are already, it's like you don't recognize that as a new road anymore. So roads are something, but then there are the vehicles running on the road. So a lot of transportation is dependent on fossil fuels, and even recently the prices have risen, and also it's an environmental problem. Even if you go to Kathmandu for one day, like the air, it's so polluted. If I go there, it's very difficult for me to stay in Kathmandu, because it's like creating a crust of this air pollution from the vehicles on your skin, and I really don't like that. It does not feel good. And if you still think that like some people actually do, that we need to keep our cars that are driven by gasoline fuel, then you should come to Nepal or Kathmandu and take a look at the situation here, and you will realize that all these cars and transportation system needs to be put on a more sustainable level. Also, that's more environmental friendly, because like with all these exhaustions from the vehicles, it's not good here. So there is the advance of electric vehicles also seen in Nepal, which is good for city environments. And of course, like heavy trucks, they cannot so easily be changed to electric transportation system, but there is a lot of personal transportation like bikes and cars for people that can quite easily, for which the technology is already advanced sufficiently to replace that almost completely in terms of environmental friendly technology. Through the company Gracetech in Austria, we actually provide components for electric vehicles, especially related to battery technology, like battery management systems. So we have a lot of developments in this respect already, but again, this is a field that is not exclusive to us, so I'm not focusing so much on that at the moment, but it's something that needs support, I think, also in a way. Yeah, because it's an ongoing process and still in an early stage in Nepal, like putting the transportation on a sustainable track. So then there is this last point of communication. I'm also a software engineer, so when I was young, at the age of 6, we got a computer in our house because of my older brother, and since that age I have spent a lot of time with the computer, and somehow my education also went in this way. So with electronic engineering and IT studies, it's actually not just by through my studies, but also through all these projects that I worked during my studies and also after that, that I gained a lot of experience in this field. And I've made up a lot of thoughts, and I have a lot of ideas about also improving IT infrastructures in a way that supports societies to communicate and to arrange especially their economic environment, like and work environment. Like computers should really be there to help people to arrange their lives. And nowadays, like many companies use technology for surveillance and for locking people into whatever, I don't know. And but this is based on fear. So governments and high-tech companies and they're fear-driven, so they need to make software and technology to for surveillance and security things and all this. But we really need to understand the human nature better to be able to develop technology that supports the life of human beings in a positive way. And this also includes economy, because for example, our financial system, our economic system, it's really a system to arrange work, to organize work, or it should be a system to organize work. But now with so much advanced technology, we could actually use this technology to help people find their place in society, in terms of supporting the society with their own skills, capacity, and work and labor. So this is something that we need to tackle in the future. Myself, I feel like that's a field that I really also need to take care of myself in a way, because I don't see that covered properly, because the way big companies and societies try to use technology, or they are not using technology really to support a good social environment, because it's either money driven or fear driven. So we need to understand that humanity is a big family. Like we cannot separate ourselves from society. So we really need to use technology in a way that supports social interaction, also the work interaction, and to support a work environment in a way that people can provide their services to the community, and also to regulate demand and production or whatever. This is a field that needs to be, that falls into the field of communication, and I think this is very fundamental, especially also to the satisfaction and happiness of society. It's very important for that, because especially in Nepal, I see a lot of people who do not know what they should do in their life, either go to other countries, to Dubai or wherever, and to do very low kind of work, just to earn a little bit of money. And this is really a very sad situation in Nepal. Like every day a lot of people are leaving the country, young people who could actually work in their own country, and they were going to abroad just to earn money, because it's come into their mindset of the people here in Nepal that money is important. In a way it is, but you need to understand that money is only the means of organizing society economically. So, and to give everyone his proper place and in a work environment, in the name of providing services to the society as a whole. So with modern technology we could improve this situation a lot if people recognize their social family in a way, like to cooperate in a positive way and in a responsible way, and supported by proper technology. In this way the living standard in terms of happiness can be increased a lot. So with all these fields of operation that I feel very basic, it is my own intention to support these fields, to provide technology for one thing. It's a lot of this is related to technology, but technology is not the only thing. Like people in a society, they also need to understand their own human nature better, their own place in their social environment. And with this better understanding, which is actually the responsibility of education, to really give this sense of responsibility, social responsibility, to the young people. And then the society has the capacity to arrange their life in a better way. So education is a key component there, and this relates to understanding our human nature and our life better, so that we gain wisdom, or buddhi, as they say in Nepali, in order to support their life in a sustainable way in society. So wisdom is something, or understanding of the life and human nature and the whole of humanity as a big family, as we are all related to each other. Like it's really we are a huge family on this planet. We have to live together here, and we have to live together in a peaceful way, in a constructive and positive way. So we have to understand our place in nature and organize our society and our system of organization according to that, to be supportive in a positive way. And everyone needs to, or at least a significant number of people need to be aware of their responsibility, of their social responsibility, and of these human values. So with this awareness or wisdom of their place in life, of their social responsibility, based on that, in all these 5 fields that I've mentioned, with food, meaning agriculture, housing, energy, transportation and communication, all these fields can be brought to a sustainable and level that is in harmony with our life. And it is my personal intention in my life to support progress towards sustainability in all these fields, combined also with the wisdom that is necessary to understand and to appreciate the positiveness and all these principles that we need to understand to support our social environment and our economy and our place in our society. So whatever I do, I decide upon these thoughts, like I really want to support these fields of operation in a sustainable way. Whatever is necessary, I try to do and to arrange my life according to that. So the companies that I've already founded, the work that I'm doing, it's oriented to supporting people, not just in Nepal, but I see it very obviously in Nepal, and also in Nepal, because Nepal is a land of a lot of change. A lot of change is going on here. So it still can go in a positive way, also to avoid mistakes that we make in other countries. And the traditional values of people in Nepal are actually a good basis to provide a society, or to establish a society that really cooperates as a family. And we also need to bring this awareness to the young generation through education. Nowadays they learn English and they learn all these skills like for work, but they don't learn about their place in society, about their responsibility, about cooperation. Instead, education is here also competition based, which is not good. It should be cooperative. So my own intention, my own work is oriented to supporting these basic fields of that are absolutely necessary in human life, with proper technology, and yes, to support people to realize their potential to build a better society in these fields, with this technology and with the understanding that is necessary. Okay, I hope we can work on this together. Namaste.